over the past 2 weeks, I've been doing some experimenting, and I haven't made a video in the past 2 weeks because I just had too many things on my mind. I was getting a little bit overwhelmed by people contacting me, which is not a bad thing necessarily, but you can kind of get overwhelmed. It's just you have to maintain that balance of trying to help people, but at the same time, if you're going crazy because too many people are asking for help or just asking you questions because you get a lot of instant messages, YouTube comments, emails, direct messages through Instagram, I mean, it's just overwhelms you, and you don't even have time to relax or just decompress. So I had to take some weeks off, and I'm probably going to keep doing that from time to time. And I realize you have to take some time off from responding to anybody at all, which doesn't make them happy. But of course, if you can't maintain your own sanity, you can't really help anybody. So that's a lesson for if you ever start an online business or any type of business, really. Don't think that online is easy, because it's certainly not. But anyway, so I've had some time to think and just experiment with myself. And one of the things I've been experimenting with was kind of somewhat of a breakthrough. PRI is great for getting both legs back into your life because you have to walk, and PRI is walking and breathing. What I realized, though, it's not as good, at least not the primary courses. Everyone thinks that this is all about the pelvis and abs. Right? So they want glutes and adductors and glute mediuses and hamstrings, and all that is important. But all of that is simply a way to stabilize your pelvis so that the upper body can move appropriately. But what happens if you've been patterned for so long and your neck has been so tight for so long that you've kind of lost effective connections between each hemisphere of your brain to your appendages, but particularly to your arms? Well, when arms aren't swinging properly, and you see this, as long as you know what to look for, you can see that when people are walking, their arms are not swinging. So their arms don't swing, which means their torso doesn't rotate. And once the torso stops rotating, by definition, the arms have to stop swinging because they're related. So the swing of the arm coming forward, you'll see, right arm comes forward, turns my sternum to my left, and then the left arm coming forward turns my sternum to the right. It is this alternation of arm swing that actually places our feet for the next proper step. It also allows our body to stay nice and relaxed. The moment arms stop swinging because of the pattern, the spine becomes rigid and we can no longer rotate. And when we can no longer rotate, the neck becomes very, very overactive. Now, a lot of people are living in that position for years and years and years and years and years, and I'm one of them. My right arm has never been the issue. Actually, it was the issue in the 8th grade when I was like 13. I had to give up pitching because my right shoulder was in so much pain. But again, that was just a symptom of overall dysfunction of my system. But I realized, so the PRI is great getting the legs reintegrated. And it does reintegrate the arms. A lot of techniques have reaching involved. A lot of people you might see online, especially on Instagram, people using reaching with their exercise. Reaching, you'd be hard pressed to find reaching as involved in exercises or techniques before PRI came along. Reaching is to allow the torso to rotate. Reaching is to reestablish that rotation of the torso and the arm swing going on. But sometimes that's not even enough, because that really is focusing on shoulders. Because a lot of people walk like this. Their elbows are doing the swinging. Their shoulders are not doing the swing. We need arm swing to come from shoulders going forward and shoulders moving back. A lot of people are so detached. Their limbs are so detached from their body. This is how they're doing it. This is their movement. Or they're just swinging the arms across their body. It's not normal. Well, you see it a lot, which means it is normal. That's not how it's supposed to be. It should be pendular, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, on both sides. See my sternum rotating? This is what rotates us. This is what gets us moving from side to side without compensation. Anyway, So that's great. PRI is really good with shoulders, but sometimes our hands even get really, really patterned because we're only on the computer in a very certain way. We're typing, we have the mouse in one hand, usually the right, especially if you're right-handed. Now, if you've become too right, so we're not really doing things with our hands like humans used to. We're not reaching and grabbing, and unless you're a farmer or you work with your hands, that's perfect. But a lot of people aren't, and I'm one of them. So I was reading in this book, Rhythms of the Brain. About 2 weeks ago, I came across this line. In an attempt to selectively stimulate a specific brain region, the researcher exposed the dominant hand to a prolonged vibration stimulus before sleep onset. After stimulation of the dominant hand, the EEG power, so just the graphs where the needle's doing this type of thing, showing brain waves. Okay, the EEG power in the contralateral hemisphere. So if it's the right hand, that would be the left hemisphere of the brain, because the left hemisphere of the brain will control the right side of the body. So if they're stimulating the right hand, the dominant hand, the right hand, it produces left hemisphere activity. After stimulation of the hand, the EEG power in the contralateral hemisphere showed a significant increase in the lower frequency band between 1 and 10 hertz. And that's usually what we need more of, like alpha type of waves. And this book, Infinity Walk, which I've talked about before, talks a lot about that, about alpha waves, beta waves, theta, and I believe delta or gamma, I can't remember. But brain waves. Our brain is constantly, it's a rhythm, down, up. That's what the EEG is showing. It's a rhythm. You need two, a left and a right, or down and up. Okay. So what I realized was, I already have, so most of us, if you are a right dominant human, and again, who isn't? That's the whole point of posture restoration. If you are a right dominant human, that means the left hemisphere of your brain, right dominant human, left hemisphere of the brain, is going to be overactive for motor function. PRI works, when you really think of it from a holistic picture, by getting your left side of the brain, left side of the body back in your life, which means you'll get more of the right side of your brain back in your life. So what PRI is really trying to do, and what this book is trying to do, Infinity Walk, because she knows what's going on, it's a hemisphere issue. You need the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. That's what this book is about. This is about what happens when one side of the brain becomes too dominant, and it's going to be the left side, and it correlates with the right side of the body. Ian McGilchrist is talking about PRI without talking about PRI. PRI is talking about Ian McGilchrist's book without talking about his book. It's the same thing. One side has become too dominant, and it's the left hemisphere with the right side of the body has become too dominant. All of these things are trying to get, well, this book is just saying how it works. It's not saying what you should do about it. But I know from a PRI perspective, the vast majority of people need more right hemisphere activity because they need more left side of the body activity. We need your hemispheres, the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere, to start coordinating more. That's what these books are really about. Now, I'm right dominant. I also realized my left hand is not very good for much, or it wasn't, because I started to try to eat with my left hand. I was like, let me try this. Why was I trying to use my left hand? To decrease my left hemisphere, which is on this side for me. I want to decrease my left hemisphere dominance and increase my right side activity. And that's, again, that is the point of this book. I wasn't very good at it. I really had no dexterity with my left hand. So I started eating with my left hand, brushing my teeth with my left hand, and I noticed that I started to sleep better. Now, it's funny because I didn't even notice that I had read it, that in this book where I read about the study, they were talking about sleep and how these brain waves kind of get coordinated during sleep and how sleep makes skill acquisition better. But what I noticed was, as I started to use my left hand more, I started to sleep better. So I can fall asleep, but what has happened for many, many, many years is that I wake up a lot. what I started to find was the more I would use my left hand, the better I sleep. So by stimulating my left hand, by using my left hand more, I am allowing the left hemisphere of the brain to decrease its activity while bringing the right side up. So we're trying to just maintain an inter-hemispheric balance. We are trying to diminish rivalry between the two hemispheres. This book, that's what this book is talking about. When you walk in a figure 8 pattern, just big figure 8s, because you have to turn left and then turn right, you are getting each hemisphere of the brain to let go, and then to come on and let go, and come on and let go. It's that alternating activity of hemispheric. It's not the body that's the issue. It's the brain that's the issue. That's what I keep saying in the PRI. It's the brain that's the issue. Now, sometimes the body simply is not working. That's why PRI is trying to repattern the body to stabilize it so that your brain can actually start to alternate again. If the body is too unstable on the left side, you could try all this stuff in the world, which may help. But if your left side is still too unstable because she never recognized an underlying pattern of right dominance, then it may not work. So this book, Infinity Walk, plus a body that's stable on the left side, plus a left hand, not just the arm swinging, but left hand dexterity in grasping things and doing tasks. The only way your brain knows how to use the scapular muscles properly is by what the hands are doing. Not enough of us do things with our hands. We don't hit things. We don't grab things with our hands anymore. And that throws off muscular activity. The brain gets confused because hands used to be used for a lot of different things, and now they're only used for one. And when you're only, for a lot of us, when you're only using hands in one way constantly, you tighten up. So using your left hand more, and what I found is, for me, the best thing I can do is play my bongos. The more I play them, because I'm hitting, and as I play them, the better I sleep. So doing more things with your left hand, and because I've danced salsa for 15 years, the rhythms are not hard for me. I just have to figure out what the rhythm is, but I've been dancing to the rhythms without ever paying attention to what the bongo rhythm is, the martillo rhythm. But it wasn't hard for me to learn, so I just keep playing that, and I'm sleeping better. Oh, and my skin's better also. Now, again, why? Tension. Tension is being decreased because I'm decreasing the influence of the left hemisphere and increasing the influence of the right hemisphere. I'm just bringing them back into balance. We're just trying to get that asymmetric brain activity a little bit more symmetrical. It may never be even. That's not the point. We just have to get that asymmetry into a more acceptable range of asymmetry. We got to balance out the asymmetries as much as possible. So again, PRI is really good with legs, shoulders. Not as good, because it's not really designed for that, not as good for what you're doing with your hands. Now, of course, if you ask the founder, he'd say it's all about the hands. It's just, how do you teach that without being stable through your pelvis first, without being stable through the rib cage first, without getting the neck to relax, all these other things. All these courses are getting those things to occur. And now, in these other courses, that he does talk about hand movements and what to do with hands, and he has discussed this, but people don't get it. They don't understand that what you're doing with your hands can actually be the make or break for your program. So if you are right dominant, and you are, but if you're right-handed and you use your right hand for a lot of things, you may want to start using your left hand more. Could decrease neck tension, could decrease pec tension. It may allow your arms to start swinging better, but that's just something that I've found. I'm sleeping better, my skin's better, I'm not breaking out from food as much. And again, it's just tension. It decreases tension, it decreases hemispheric rivalry. It's in the literature. These books are all about that stuff. It's not crazy. The research is out there, you just have to look for it. So give it a try, and maybe you'll have some. Oh, I know someone's gonna say, well, I'm left-handed. I don't know. Should you use your right hand more? I don't really know. Maybe the strategy won't work for you. But if you are right-handed and you use your right hand constantly, start using your left hand more, and you might have some benefit.